Hello, my name is Jasmine Fernandez, and I will be presenting on my research, Comparison of Vocal Dose Measurements with Teacher Difficulty Rankings of Popular Soprano Arias. This research was conducted at the University of Texas at San Antonio with Professor John Nix. One of the main responsibilities of a voice teacher is to choose appropriate repertoire for their students. This is because each person in their voice is unique with their own color, timbre, strengths, and abilities. There are many factors that are considered when choosing songs. This can include the key, the tempo, dynamics, range, the tessitura of the song and the singer, thematic material of the text, and many other factors. Choosing the right repertoire is important for student success, vocal health, and student motivation. There are many resources available for voice teachers to help them choose the right repertoire for each student. There have also been efforts to find an objective method to aid in this selection of repertoire. There have been several studies which have used different methods to do this. The studies listed here show different methods such as using a tessituragram, a voice range profile, and vocal dosimetry. Our research is based off of Professor John Nix's 2014 study in which he tested the accuracy of vocal dose estimates also using a voice range profile and tessituragram. The objective of this research was to compare estimates of cycle dose, voicing time dose, and recovery time as determined from the musical scores of popular soprano arias with subjective opinions of the difficulty of the same works by active singing teachers. We had three hypotheses for this research. The first was that teacher ratings of the difficulty of the arias will positively correlate with voicing time dose estimates and cycle dose estimates. The second was that teacher gender will have an impact on the correlation between the ratings and the dose estimates. Specifically, female teachers' ratings, given their personal experience with singing some of the arias, will more closely correlate with the dose estimates than the male teachers' ratings. We also predicted that teacher education level will have an impact on the correlation between ratings and dose estimates. The more training the teacher has, the more closely correlated the ratings and the dose estimates will be. Our research consisted of two parts. The first was an online survey that was sent to classical voice teachers who were asked to rank the top 15 soprano arias from the 2017-2018 National Association of Teachers of Singing student auditions. The second part consisted of vocal dose estimates that were made for each of these arias, which was then ranked and compared against the teacher difficulty rankings. In the online survey, there were 6 questions. The first question asked the participants to rank these arias from the least difficult to the most difficult. Then they were asked to provide the factors that went into their decisions. This was followed by several demographic questions. The vocal dose estimates were comprised of 3 parts. The first is the time dose, which is the duration of time accumulated on each pitch over the entire song, measured in seconds. The next part is the vocal dose, which consists of cycles of vibration of the vocal folds. This was calculated by multiplying the frequency in hertz for each musical note by duration in seconds. The total estimated cycle dose for each song was calculated by summing the individual pitch doses. The third part is the recovery time, which is the time during the song where the singer is not singing. This was accounted for by written rest in the music and calculated by summing the duration of each rest. All 3 of these estimates were made using the printed musical score. Fermatas were counted as double the value of the written note, and dynamic levels were not taken into consideration. Tempos were selected from general performance practice or as notated in certain scores. The overall results for the study showed that rankings and dose estimates do not correlate very strongly with each other. The leading factors that voice teachers use to determine aria difficulty rankings were breath management, range, and tessitura. In our first hypothesis, we predicted that teacher ratings of the difficulty of the arias will positively correlate with voicing time dose estimates and cycle dose estimates. We used Pearson's coefficient of correlation to examine the relationship between the ratings and the dose estimates. We found that teacher ratings did positively correlate with the dose estimates, although the correlations were quite weak. In our second hypothesis, we predicted that the teacher gender will have an impact on the correlation between the ratings and the dose estimates. We found that the male teachers' ratings were more highly correlated for the time and cycle doses. However, this must be regarded with caution, as the two groups were very different in size. The females accounted for more than half of the total participants. An aria by aria comparison was made between the ratings given by the male teachers and the ratings given by the female teachers. For all 15 arias, none of the differences between the means of the ratings by the males versus the means of the ratings by the females were statistically significant, as determined by a one-way ANOVA test. In our third hypothesis, we predicted that teacher education level will have an impact on the correlation between ratings and dose estimates. We found that there was a trend between education level and the strength of the correlation for both the time and cycle doses, but not for the recovery time dose. An aria by aria comparison was made between the ratings given by the teachers with a doctoral degree, ratings given by teachers with a master's degree, and ratings given by teachers with other education. 3 of the arias, Bel Piacere, In Uomini, and Stizzoso, showed significant differences between the groups in a one-way ANOVA test. Scheffe's post-hoc test was used to further examine the differences between the groups for these 3 arias and to identify between which groups the significant differences occurred. No significant differences were found between any of the groups for any of the arias. We assume the differences revealed in the ANOVA test between the group means must be due to the variation in the sizes of the groups. In conclusion, singing teachers identify other criteria such as phrase length, breath management, range, and tessitura in their difficulty assessments of vocal repertoire. Not all of these factors are reflected well in the current model of estimating or measuring cycle and time doses. There were other factors that were not considered which may have actually had a big impact on how these arias were perceived in terms of difficulty. These include dynamic levels, particularly in register transitions and at range extremes, tessitura of the aria, which can be extracted from the time dose estimate calculations, and text setting considerations. If the text setting has words with low R1 vowels and higher pitches, or syllabic passages that are written in the high soprano range, this will make the work more difficult. In the future, we hope to expand our research taking these factors into account. For example, subdividing the dose estimates according to dynamic levels, providing time doses at pianissimo, etc. We plan to use human subjects and take vocal dose measurements using a voice dosimeter and compare measured doses with estimates and both measures against teacher perceptions of difficulty. We would like to acknowledge Paul M. Patinka, adjunct faculty at Hartwick College and the College of St. Rose, as well as the Department of Music at UTSA for their support and help with this research. Thank you.